There is a moment in every life when anger arrives like a storm. It comes quickly, sometimes without warning. A careless word from a colleague, a child refusing to listen, a driver cutting us off on the highway. Suddenly, our chest tightens, our pulse races, and the ancient fire of human emotion surges upward. We feel wronged, disrespected, unheard. And in that instant, we are faced with a choice. Do we let the fire burn uncontrolled, or do we learn to sit with it, to guide it, and perhaps even to transform it? I want to tell you a story not of kings or philosophers, but of a simple man named Daniel. He was in his mid-40s, an ordinary father, working long hours at a company that barely noticed his efforts. One evening, after a day of endless emails and last-minute demands, he came home to find his teenage son had forgotten, once again, to take out the trash. The bag was spilling over, the smell filling the kitchen. Something inside Daniel snapped. His voice rose, sharp and loud, and his son looked back at him with a mixture of defiance and hurt. Later that night, when the house was quiet, Daniel sat alone in the dark. He replayed the moment in his mind and saw his son's eyes, not rebellious, but wounded. Daniel realized the anger had not solved anything. It had only built a wall between them. And for the first time, he asked himself, what would have happened if I had paused? What if I had chosen patience instead of rage? The truth is, anger is part of being human. Even the calmest monk, even the wisest teacher, has felt its heat. But across centuries, voices of wisdom have whispered the same lesson. Anger is not the enemy, but neither is it the master. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once wrote, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." The Buddha taught, holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. And Jesus, in the Sermon on the Mount, urged his listeners to turn the other cheek, not to invite harm, but to step beyond the endless cycle of retaliation. But knowing these teachings is not enough. The real question is, how do we live them in the heat of the moment? How do we transform anger when it surges within us? Daniel began to practice something very simple. The next time frustration rose, he told himself one sentence: "This anger is mine, but I do not have to be it." He would take a breath, sometimes 2, sometimes 10. He would leave the room, walk outside, feel the evening air on his face. The anger did not vanish instantly, but it lost its grip. He discovered that a pause, even the smallest pause, gave him space to choose. There is power in the pause. In that silence, the mind begins to see clearly. Neuroscience tells us that anger activates the amygdala, the ancient survival center of the brain. But when we pause, when we breathe, we shift activity toward the prefrontal cortex, the seat of reason, reflection, and choice. It is as if the storm is still there, but we step into a shelter where we can see it without being swept away. Over time, Daniel noticed something even deeper. His anger was never just about the trash, or the emails, or the careless drivers. Beneath the fire was fear of being disrespected, fear of losing control, fear of not being enough. And once he saw the fear, compassion began to grow. He realized that his son, too, felt small fears of his own. The driver on the highway might have been rushing to a hospital. The colleague at work might have been drowning in pressures invisible to him. Anger shrank, and understanding widened. There is an old parable from the East about 2 wolves that live inside every human heart. One wolf is anger, envy, greed. The other wolf is peace, kindness, love. Which wolf wins? the one you feed. Every time we choose patience, we feed the gentler wolf. Every time we lash out, we feed the darker one. Life becomes the sum of these choices. So what can we do, practically, when anger rises? First, name it. Simply say to yourself, I am feeling anger. By naming it, you step back just enough to see it. Second, breathe. The breath is the bridge between body and mind. Slow, steady breathing cools the fire. Third, ask yourself, what is the story behind this anger? Is it truly about this moment, or is it carrying weight from the past? Often, we discover that we are not just mad at the trash bag, but at years of feeling unheard, unseen, unvalued. The present moment becomes the stage where old hurts play again. By recognizing this, we loosen their hold. Fourth, and perhaps most difficult, choose kindness. Not weakness, not passivity, but a deliberate kindness that disarms the cycle. Daniel began to tell his son, in a calm voice, I need your help with this. When you forget, I feel disrespected, but I want us to work together, not fight each other. At first, his son rolled his eyes, but slowly the sharp edges softened. A bridge replaced the wall. Anger then becomes not a curse, but a teacher. It tells us where we hurt, where we fear, where we long to be understood. If we listen, we can grow. If we silence it blindly, we bury the lesson. If we unleash it wildly, we harm those we love. But if we pause, breathe, and listen, anger becomes a doorway to wisdom. The Sufi poet Rumi once wrote, try to accept the changing seasons of your heart, even the bitter ones, for each has been sent as a guide from beyond. Anger is one of those guides. Fierce, fiery, sometimes overwhelming, but also pointing us toward healing. If only we have the courage to look. And so I returned to Daniel, sitting again in his kitchen months later. The trash still piles up some nights. The workplace still sends endless demands. The highway still brims with impatient drivers. But Daniel is different. The fire still sparks, but it no longer consumes. He has learned to pause, to breathe, to choose. He has learned that peace is not the absence of anger, but the mastery of it. Perhaps the same is true for us. Anger will come. The storm will rise. But in that moment, we hold the power to decide, will we be the flame or the one who carries the lantern? So the next time anger knocks at your door, pause before you answer. Take a breath. Step outside. Look at the sky, the trees, the faces of those you love. Ask yourself, will this anger build a bridge or burn one? And remember, the bridge lasts, the flame fades. Choose the bridge,